Hey, it's your friend Choice CJ here, and this is my Week 8 battle for the UBC Season number 3. I am, of course, the coach of the Baltimore Oriolus. This week, we are taking on Devan, aka Majestic Xerneas. He is the coach of the Texas Nightmare. I'll be leaving all of his YouTube and Twitter information down in the description below. We are doing another post-com, unfortunately. This match ended up going up, or ended up taking place a little bit late. So that's also why there's no team builder. But I just want to take a quick second to go over the team. His team is Gengar, Alakazam, Vaporeon, Hydreigon, Flygon, Starmie, Ninetales, Zebstrika, Frostlass, Mega Steelix, and Jumpluff. So biggest threats to me, I think honestly Ninetales was the scariest thing to me. Because I don't have a lot of Pokemon that want to switch in on the combination of Fire Blast and Solar Beam. And it is Drought Ninetales, it's worth pointing out. Gengar and Alakazam are both really scary, hard to switch into. Same with Hydreigon. There's, this really amazing trio of special attackers. And you even have Starmie in there that you can't ignore. Steelix can be hard to deal with potentially, but I do have some decent counters to that. Let's just go ahead and hop on into it. I won't take too long with this because I want to hop into the battle as soon as possible. We're bringing Mega Lopunny, Fake Out Return, High Jump Kick, Power Up Punch. Nothing amazing here. Enough speed to outspeed a timid Alakazam. Basically, every time this thing comes in, it gets a kill. That's kind of the nice thing about going up against an offensive team such as Devan's. It's kind of the same deal as with Johan last week. We also have an Adamant Choice Scarf Sneasel, Knockoff, Icicle Crash, Low Kick, Ice Shard. This is also pretty good against his team because most of his mons are weak either to Dark or to Ice. Particularly Dark. And then with this, we can outspeed Alakazam and Gengar. We can outspeed a Choice Scarf, Hydreigon, and things like that. We have an Assault Vest, a Moongus, my Disco Biscuit, with Giga Drain, Grass Knot, Sludge Bomb, and Payback. Giga Drain, as good recovery and a move that can hit Vaporeon. I put Grass Knot on because it's going to do more damage to the Steelix if we need to hit that thing with something. Sludge Bomb, just for another powerful move to hit like Zebstrika or something like that. Payback is for Gengar. So this thing actually walls Gengar relatively well. It does like 80% with a Payback. So if it comes in after Rocks, hits us with one move, takes one turn of Life Orb Recoil, and then we hit it with a Payback, we have a good chance to kill it. Especially defensive Gardevoir, Moonblast, Shadow Ball, Wish, Will-O-Wisp. We were able to make it shiny this week, which made me happy. This thing is a good answer for Hydreigon. It's a pretty hard wall for Vaporeon. Alakazam, if its Life Orb, can be kind of threatening to it, but otherwise we should be able to take it on. And kind of the same with the Frostlass if we need. Fully physically defensive Hippowdon with Stealth Rock, Slack Off, Earthquake, and Ice Fang. Earthquake hits everything on his team pretty hard except for his Levitators like Flygon and Hydreigon, and so Ice Fang is there to hit those things pretty hard. We can also use this to hit a Gengar on a switch in, I guess, but most of the time we're not going to be staying in on a Gengar. We're going to be going out into Disco Biscuit. And then last but not least, we have Leonardo the Blastoise with Rain Dance, Toxic, Protect, Scald. This is my only check for Ninetales. We can come in, take the combination of a Life Orb, Flamethrower, plus Solar Beam. It's certainly possible that he runs Fire Blast, but based on the replays that I've watched, he doesn't like to bring Fire Blast. So we'll do that. We'll have like 25% left over, and then we'll get the Rain up. We have Rain Dish to heal extra, so we'll go from 25% to 37%. And then from there, we can just end up firing off Rain Boosted Scalds, because he has a Vaporeon which can switch in, but I can Toxic that thing, and then if I'm worried about Blastoise getting burned, I can switch right into Gardevoir, Trace the Water Absorb, and then I wall that thing into Oblivion. So that is the team. Let's go ahead and switch back to the replay screen. So he didn't bring Ninetales, which is the biggest thing I was worried about. So that's a huge relief for me. As I kind of expected, he doesn't have a answer for Lopunny. I guess Vaporeon is the best answer for that thing, but that doesn't really count because I think it probably still gets 2-hit KO'd by High Jump Kick. Even what do you call it? Steelix has a good chance to get 2-hit KO'd by High Jump Kick. So my only real concerns are Sashed Mons, maybe like a Choice Scarf Gengar or Choice Scarf Hydreigon or something like that. But in any event, I am going to lead off with this Lopunny, and we are going to hop right on into this replay. So He's going to lead off with a Frostlass, which is not a bad play. You know, he's trying to get up some spikes perhaps, or maybe hit me up with a cheeky Destiny Bond. We go for the fake out, get a crit. Crit doesn't matter because we can follow up with a high jump kick, and it's going to 2-hit KO anything that's on his team, except again maybe the Vaporeon. Brings in Zam. Now I'm pretty sure that this thing is going to be sashed, so switch out into my Gardevoir on the Psychic. I was thinking about going into Sneasel, but I thought that'd be a pretty risky play. Now I could just go for a Wish, and as you can see, that Shadow Ball, like, it does a little bit of damage, but we can pretty much just Wish stall it. Unfortunately, he does get a crit here. We are going to hit him up with a Shadow Ball of our own, which is looking like a, obviously a very easy 2-hit KO. I don't want to stay in here though, because I don't want my Gardevoir to be at low health. So now I am going to make a risky play and go into my Sneasel. And I take that Shadow Ball just fine, and we're in a position where we can go for a knockoff and either kill this thing or knock off an item off of whatever wants to come in. He does choose to bring in the Vaporeon, so I'm pretty happy to get rid of this thing's leftovers, to be honest, because this thing, as I said, is a nuisance for my team. I could have brought the Zapdos on this squad if I wanted, but I was just more worried about the other threats. And I knew that I could status the Vaporeon if I needed. Anyway, as you can see, I went to Amoonguss. He didn't leave it in there on the Amoonguss for very long. We switch into our Gardevoir on this Hydreigon here, and he switches out as I get an opportunity to Wish. I don't want to stay in on this Steelix because he can go for a really powerful Heavy Slam on me. Even if I hit him up with a Will-O-Wisp, it's probably still going to do over 50%. And why would I go in? Why would I leave it in when I have like the safest switch in of all time in Hippowdon? It's fully physically defensive this week. So I am going to go ahead and set up my rocks as he brings in the Vaporeon. Now I go ahead and bring in my Blastoise here. Maybe a little bit risky because there's a chance that I could have gotten Scald Burned, but I wanted to come in here and try and hit this up with a Toxic. And as you guys can see, that is what I go for. I'm going to switch the replay speed up to fast because we're going to get into a kind of drawn out portion of the game here in a minute. So I go for Rain Dance because I want to start healing up more, especially if he wants to switch in something like the Gengar, which is what he does here. And so I go for the Toxic, doesn't do anything. He goes for a Thunderbolt, but I am fully specially defensive, so it does like 55%. I am fortunate enough to get a burn off on that Rain Boosted Scald, so I'm just going to Protect here because the Gengar can now, it'll die to the burn recoil. But he switches in the Vaporeon, good play. Now I'm going to go ahead and Toxic. He makes a smart play and Heal Bells. I don't know if he was anticipating the Toxic or he just wanted to heal up the Gengar. But the thing with that is that the Gengar is already going to die upon re-entry to Rocks. So now I come in with Gardevoir, I trace the Water Absorbs, and now there's nothing that he can do to hit me, and I just go for a Will-O-Wisp because I'd be happy to get a burn off on the Vaporeon and make it burn more Heal Bells. That's pretty much my strategy at this point, is to make that thing run out of Heal Bells, and then I'll finally be able to kill it. He brings in the Steelix on the switch in, and it's really nice that I got a burn off on that. I can go into my Hippowdon, very much for free, and then bring this Amoonguss in on the Vaporeon. As you can see, or as you can anticipate, there's going to be a little bit of a back and forth here. He brings in the Alakazam on the Amoonguss, and I don't want to stay in here and take a Psychic, so I switch into my Gardevoir, which is no problem. I get a Spadef drop, which really sucks, but I don't want to switch in anything. I could have done the same play I made before and go into the Sneasel, but I just figured, okay, I'm just going to leave that in, and I know that I can come in on this Vaporeon, get boosted with a Water Absorb, and then go for a Wish, which is really quite nice, because he can't, now that I have shown the Will-O-Wisp, he can't just freely switch into Steelix anymore. And I'm going to go for the Wish, and as you can see, he goes for the Scald. I guess he didn't realize that Trace was my ability, but, conveniently for me, I get back up to full HP after being at like 15-20%, so I'm pretty happy about that. I go for a Moonblast, just to try and see how much damage I can get. It's going to get to the point where I need to start clicking Shadow Ball because I want to get a Spadef drop on this thing. But he does just Protect. I am able to Will-O-Wisp him with the next, on the next turn. He does not have the ability to Protect there. I mean, I guess he could Protect, but you guys know what I'm trying to say. He goes for another Heal Bell. I think at this point he has like 3 Heal Bells left. But he does go ahead and swap on out into the Steelix as I now go for Will-O-Wisp again, get a burn off on this thing. He is able to Wish Pass into it, but I'm really not worried about that because, again, I have a pretty much full health, or literally full health Hippowdon. He gets a crit, crits through the burn, and does 25% damage. So I just want to go for the Earthquake here. And I do get a crit on the Earthquake, but you can see that from the range of HP that he was at, that he was not going to live 2 Earthquakes anyway, so the crit didn't really matter. And I'm just so tired of dealing with this Vaporeon that I let my Hippowdon get down to low health. And I'm able to finally take that thing out. So he brings in the Hydreigon, goes for Superpower, which, you know, I understand he didn't want, like, the drop from the Draco Meteor, but he should be able to tell by now that I'm fully physically defensive with a Hippowdon. But I do just go for the Wish. I know I can come in on this Steelix and heal my Hippowdon back up, easy peasy. And I can just go ahead and slack off, get back to full HP. He gets a crit on the Heavy Slam, and again, only does 17%. Now, go for the Earthquake. He will die after the burn damage, which is pretty nice. Gengar is going to switch in, die to Rocks. That's actually, so if you count that as a kill for Hippowdon, that's Hippowdon's 3rd kill of the game. He goes for Superpower. I'm just going to go for the Slack Off, because I kind of expected, like, the Draco Meteor. And I didn't know how much it was going to do. I could have switched into the Gardevoir, but I chose not to. And I am going to finally be able to take the thing out with an Ice Fang, and that is going to be a good game. So this turned into like a little bit more of a stall fest than I had anticipated. I just really didn't have a way to deal with the Vaporeon, so my way to deal with it was to status it over and over. And it looked like that strategy was going to actually end up working. But we got pretty lucky, and the Vaporeon got to a range of HP where it was going to be 2-hit KO'd by this Hippowdon, and that's exactly what happened. Then the Hippowdon killed the Gengar, killed the Steelix, and killed the Hydreigon. So is that actually, I think that's actually 4 kills for Hippowdon then. That's not even bad. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm a little sad that Lopunny only got 1 kill. Lopunny is the kill leader in the league still, I believe. But, you know, it's just nice to pad that up if possible. But anyway, good game, Devan. Really enjoyed battling you. I do want to encourage all of you guys to go check out his channel. That is going to be it for me. Please be sure to check back for more Pokemon content, including my Week 2 match of the PMC. It's going up tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. So be sure to check that out. And until the next time, I'll see you all later.